Hello students, welcome to the lecture on business reports. And after the lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain how to write an effective report, discuss the composing business messages, explain the types of reports, understand the numbering and use of visual aids, discuss the creativity in written communication, explain the diagrams in written communication. Let us start with a brief introduction to business reports. The word report has originated from the French words reporter and report, and Latin re, back, plus portere, to carry. All these words mean give an account, report. Thus means to give people information about something that we have heard, seen, done, etc. It is a very formal document that is written for a variety of purposes, generally in sciences, social sciences, engineering and business disciplines. However, reports are also written for various types of academic pursuits such as a research report, a book report and project report, and include many other kinds of report writing as well. Report writing is an essential skill for professionals in almost every field. Accountants, teachers, graphic designers, information scientists, the list goes on. A report aims to inform as clearly and succinctly as possible. It should be easy to read and professional in its presentation. A report can be defined as a testimonial or account of some happening. It is purely based on observation and analysis. A report gives an explanation of any circumstance in today's corporate world. Reports play a crucial role. They are a strong base for planning and control in an organization. That is, reports give information which can be utilized by the management team in an organization for making plans and for solving complex issues in the organization. A report discusses a particular problem in detail. It brings significant and reliable information to the limelight of top management in an organization. Hence, on the basis of such information, the management can make short decisions. Reports are required for judging the performances of various departments in an organization. Features or characteristics of a report. It should be complete and compact document. Report is a complete and compact written document giving updated information about a specific problem. Systematic presentation of facts. Report is a systematic presentation of facts, figures, conclusions, and recommendations. Report writers closely study the problem under investigation and prepare a report after analyzing all relevant information regarding the problem. Prepared in writing. Reports are usually in writing. Writing reports are useful for reference purpose. It serves as a complete and compact and self-explanatory document over a long period. Oral reporting is possible in the case of secret and confidential matters. It provides information and guidance. Report is a valuable document which gives information and guidance to the management while framing the future policies. Self-explanatory document. Report is a comprehensive document and it covers all the aspects of the subject matter of study. It is a self-explanatory and complete document by itself. It acts as a tool of internal communication. Report is an effective tool of internal communication between the top executives and the subordinate staff working in an organization. It acts as a permanent record. A report serves as a permanent record relating to certain business matter. It is useful for future reference and for guidance. Time-consuming and costly activity. Report writing is a time-consuming, lengthy and costly activity as it involves collection of facts, drawing conclusions and making recommendations. Let's now talk about writing an effective report. Report can be defined as a testimonial or an account of some happening. A report gives an explanation of any circumstance. In today's corporate world, reports play a very crucial role. They are a strong base for planning and control in an organization. That is, reports give information which can be utilized by the management team in an organization for making plans and for solving complex issues in the organization. A report discusses a particular problem in detail. It brings significant and reliable information to the limelight of top management in an organization. An effective report can be written going through the following steps. Determine the objective of the report, that is, you identify the problem. Then you collect the required material or the facts for the report. You study and examine the facts that are gathered, plan the facts for the report, Then prepare an outline for the report, that is, you draft the report. You edit the drafted report, distribute the draft report to the advisory team, and ask for feedback and recommendations. The essentials of a good and effective report writing are: you should know the objective, that is, you have to be focused. Analyze the niche audience, that is, make an analysis of the target audience, the purpose for which audience requires the report, the kind of data audience is looking for in the report, the implications of the report reading, etc. You decide the length of the report, you disclose the correct and the true information in a report, you discuss all sides of the problem reasonably and impartially, and include all relevant facts in a report. You concentrate on the report structure and the matter, pre-decide the report writing style, use vivid structures of sentences. The report should be neatly presented and should be carefully documented. It should highlight and recap the main message in a report. Encourage feedback on the report from the critics. The feedback, if negative, might be useful if properly supported with reasons by the critics. The report can be modified based on such feedback. Use graphs, pie charts, etc. to show the numerical data records over years. Stages of writing. The writing process involves some basic stages which are not separate, as they often flow into one another. Or depending on how someone writes, he or she might engage in certain stages simultaneously. Pre-writing. It is like hatching an egg from conception. Incubation to hatching the plot. Writing, the actual work that requires creativity and discipline, putting pen to paper or fingertips to keyboard. Revising, this is the craftsmanship side of writing. We are not just completing something according to basic standards, but to our own satisfaction. Writing is, after all, an art. It is the same care we would put into creating a model ship or a plane. Editing, putting the last touches on the work to make sure it flows well, like adding any missing pieces or removing parts that do not fit. Moving on, let's now talk about composing business messages. A written business message is one of the methods of business communication. And like every other managerial activity, written communication has its own policy. The policy of communication arises from the culture of the organization, values, habits, interest, network, and relationships. The formation of an effective and successful written message includes planning, formulating, improving, and editing the message. However, the goal is always one. The writer wishes to attract the reader to read and accept the message. It is therefore important to compose a well-structured and particularly a clearly composed written message. The formulation of a written message consists of two steps. The components can be classified into three groups. The basic thought represents a core around which the writer formulates a message. The basic thought is supported then by arguments, a minimum of 3 or maximum of 5, as otherwise these cannot be processed simultaneously by an average reader. Each argument is supported by concrete and convincing evidence. These can include simple information, comparisons, concise descriptions, statements and quotes of influential persons, and of course, graphical representations. Writers therefore often make the following mistakes in business writing. Abuse the reader's patience by making too long introductions and starting with the core of the message too late. Fill the text with superfluous information which consumes the reader's time and makes the message unclear. Mix up the essential statements and do not put them into a logical sequence that would help the reader. Omit essential information which would enable the reader to form an opinion and take the action.
The cover page is usually the first page of a technical report. On the cover page, you can see the classification on the top left corner, which could be normal, confidential, top secret, classified, based on the type of the information the report holds. Then on the top right corner comes the report number. You can put any random alphanumeric number with at least 5 digits, just so it looks good. Next, you have the name of the organization, along with the place it is situated in, followed by the title of the report and the date, which comes at the bottom of the page. And make sure you align all these elements in the center. Next comes the title page. The title page is a little more descriptive than the cover page and has names and designations of person for whom you are making the report, followed by the name and designation of the person making the report. and the one who approves the report. Except the last element, everything on the title page will be center aligned. Next up is the preface. The preface is written by the author of the report. It contains his views and opinions about the subject of the report. The preface is followed by acknowledgements. This section has 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph is an overall acknowledgement note to whoever has helped in the development of the report, that is, the general public. The second paragraph is more of a courtesy note to the high authority of the organization for which you are writing the report. The third paragraph is a real thanking note to the people who have directly helped you develop and compile the report. The fourth para is dedicated to moral and emotional support. And lastly, in the fifth paragraph, you acknowledge the secretary without whose support the report wouldn't have been completed. Next, we have the list of tables and figures, which enlists all the tables and figures like pie charts, bar graphs, etc., along with the page number they appear at. After this comes the abstract. It states in brief the idea behind the report, what it aims at, and how will it be beneficial for the organization. Following this is the table of contents. It enlists all the elements in the report in a sequential order along with their page numbers. Observe that the elements before the instruction are written in italics and numbered using lower Roman numerals. The rest of the elements follow the decimal numbering system for serialization depending on their hierarchy, and the page numbers are written using Arabic numerals, which is the usual number system that we follow in everyday life. Note that the bibliography, glossary, appendix, and index are also in italics. This brings us to the first prime element of our discussion, the introduction. The introduction has 7 elements. The first element is the note of authorization. It contains the title of the report, the name and the designation of the personnel who has authorized you to write the report, and the date of authorization. Second comes the historical background. Here we need to answer questions such as, when did the problem arise? What exactly is the problem? How is it affecting the organization? And what actions has been undertaken until now? Another thing to note is that here you should not mention as to why the problem arose. The third element is the objective, and it states the aim of the report and suggests a plausible solution for the problem. Fourth comes the scope. The scope comprises of the areas of classification which have been taken into consideration while writing the report. These can be identified such as age groups, to number of family members, geographic regions, or financial status, etc. Then comes the limitations. Here simply mention the areas of classification, stating nothing else were considered except them due to time and financial crisis. On the 6th, we have methodology. Here we need to mention the procedure by which the survey was conducted. It could be polls, questionnaires, or personal interviews, whatever. Do mention the exact number or percentage of the people surveyed and the criteria for selecting these candidates. Also, don't forget to refer to the appendix, as it will contain a detailed description of the methods undertaken for the survey. The 7th and the last element of the report is the preview. It contains one-line description of each section apart from the introduction. The second element, the discussion, comprises of the major chunk of the report. It evaluates and justifies all the collected data. Here the author tries to figure out the possible explanations for the trends observed in the data collected. The headings of the discussion can be identified from the table provided. by identifying the row or the column that sums up to 100 or which is closest to 100. Each topic of discussion has 3 points. First, the justification for the highest percentile on a category. Second, the explanation for the lowest percentage. And third, a short explanation for the intermediate trends. Make sure you mention the percentages wherever you justify them. Discussion topics also have figures which represent the data using pie charts, bar graphs, block diagrams, and other illustrations. Make sure you mention a reference note for figures wherever you refer them in your explanation. The third element is the conclusion. Here, the first para contains an overall conclusion of the report, followed by the conclusions for each topics of discussion in separate paragraphs. You must remember 2 things while writing conclusions. It must not contain any new reasons besides the one mentioned in discussion. You must not specify the figures again in conclusion. After this, we have recommendations, which is an optional element and contains suggestions that may help solve the problem observed in the report. Here again, you have an overall recommendation followed by the recommendations for each topic of discussion. Lastly, we have bibliography that lists all resources, that is books, periodicals, articles, etc., from which the data had been extracted in making the report. Okay, finally we have glossary, which contains the definitions of all the jargon used in alphabetical order. Next, we have appendix, which has the details of the methods used during the survey like questionnaire, interview questions, polls, etc. And finally, the index, which contains the detailed list of the specific information available in the report and helps us indicate a topic, a subtopic, or any other important aspects of the contents.
Let's now discuss the types of reports. There are many types of reports which are derived in many ways. Here we discuss about business and academic report. Business report. A business report is a standard form of business communication that combines qualitative and quantitative information in a logical format, serving as critical corporate documentation. Business reports present information-based views of the enterprise to appropriate audiences and can be automatically individualized for each user. Business reports. It assesses business performance, provides a quick status check, and monitors progress towards the strategic goals of the business. Summarize key business indicators by presenting them in visually intuitive charts and graphs, easy to read grids and spreadsheets, pixel perfect documents, and interactive dashboards and scorecards. Use statistics such as key performance indicators and financial ratios to present key business metrics. Access data online or offline through various means of communication. The purpose of business report. A business report conveys information to assist in business decision making. The business report is the medium in which to present this information. Some reports might present the actual solution to solve a business problem. Other reports might record past business information that is used towards future business planning. Determine the scope of the report. A frequent mistake of many business reports is that the author makes the scope or the purpose of a report too general or vague. Consider the target audience. Always consider the business report's alignment with the intended audience. Business reports usually have a number of different audience groups to reach, so a report will often have a hierarchical structure to support different levels of detail. In designing the report format and style, the following target audience characteristics should be considered. Their need for the report, that is finance approval, operational planning, research allocation. Education level, that is their ability to understand and rationalize the document. Position in the organization, that is authority for information contained in the document. Knowledge of the report's topic, that is purpose. Responsibility or authority to make decisions based on the report, and personal demographics, that is age, biasness, alliances, attitudes. The business report will have the following 5 steps. Provide identifying information, usually inclusive of to, from, date, subject and the area. Define the project or the problem, the purpose of the report. Give the background, give the supporting data, and state the conclusions and recommendations. The elements of effective business report writing. Now that we have an overall outline and rough draft of the report, we are ready to start polishing the document. Accurate. Accuracy in a business report includes accuracy of information and the accuracy of writing. Since the information in a business report is used to make decisions, inaccurate information can lead to inaccurate decisions. Therefore, make sure the facts are right. Academic report. Successful report writing, just like any other academic writing assignment, requires professionalism, in-depth knowledge of the subject that is discussed, concentration, exceptional writing skills. Here are some common mistakes that you can avoid in academic report writing. Long sentences. Students commonly write very long sentences just to fill the paper or to express knowledge on the paper. However, sometimes some sentences do not make sense. Thus, in academic report writing, it is important that you keep your sentences short. Spelling errors. This is a common mistake that students do. In academic report writing, it is important that you proofread your paper and be sure that it is free from spelling errors. Homonyms. This is another thing that you should watch out for in an academic report writing because your sentence might convey another meaning. Format. There are different writing styles and formats that you can follow depending on what your teacher would require. Study it before doing your paper. This is important in academic report writing because this is where you can get an idea on how you will cite references, what to write in the headings, and how to write your bibliography correctly. Fluffs. These are commonly used by students just to fill in the contents of the paper. In academic report writing, instead of elongating your paragraphs with fluffs, research for more facts that you can include in your paper. Moving on further, let's now discuss about numbering and use of visual aids. Visual aids can powerfully help the effectiveness of a speech. Many speeches benefit from having objects, images, keynotes or data presented in a clear and dramatic fashion. Visual aids vary in kind, but there are similar benefits and tips for dealing with any kind of supplementary evidence that is shown to an audience. Reasons to use visual aids. It improves the audience understanding and its memory. It serves as notes. It provides a clearer organization. It facilitates more eye contact and motion by the speaker. It contributes to speaker credibility. Tips for using visual aids. Stand to the side of the visual aid. Do not obscure the visual aid if at all possible. Traditionally, speakers have the visual aid on their left. Maintain eye contact. While the visual aid will be tempting to many speakers, the audience should still be their main focus. Introduce a visual aid before talking about the information contained in it. Giving background on where the information for the visual aid was obtained from provides the audience with more resources for understanding the content of the speech. Practice with the visual aid. The visual aid adds an additional focus for the audience, and the speakers should be able to effectively and smoothly interact with the aid to minimize distractions. Make sure the visual aid supports the message. Consistency between what is being said and what is being seen is crucial to a speaker's credibility. Creativity in written communication. Creative writing is anything where the purpose is to express thoughts, feelings, and emotions rather than to simply convey information. Here are a couple of definitions. Creative writing is writing that expresses the writer's thoughts and feelings in an imaginative, often unique and poetic way. Writing is a form of personal freedom. It frees us from the mass identity we see all around us. Writing of any sort is hard, but rewarding work will gain a huge amount of satisfaction from a finished piece. Being creative can also be difficult and challenging at times, but immensely fun. Use of pictures. Everyday advertisers, public speakers, and news broadcasters rely on images to communicate more than words alone can. When used properly, these images can accentuate and enhance a message. When poorly chosen, images can detract from a message and distract an audience. Regardless of the direction of the impact, images have an indelible effect on the communication process. Demonstrative images. On occasion, the content of a message can only go so far in explaining the ideas being presented. In these instances, images can benefit communication by giving a visual demonstration of ideas being discussed. This can occur on both a graphical and picture-based level. Illustrative images. Sometimes the best way to understand an idea is to compare it to something else. Verbally, these comparisons are referred to as similes. In the context of images, this is considered illustrating a concept. This type of image communication is most frequently used with advertising, where images are used to correlate products, services, or people with different abstract concepts. Timing. The effectiveness of an image's impact on communication often relies on the timing of its exposure. This functions in two ways. Images should be presented at a time where they correlate with the information being discussed. With a speech about poor hospital care in third world countries, an image of children laughing and running can undermine the gravitas your words are attempting to establish. Let's now discuss the diagrams in written communication. Illustrations are a valuable tool in simplifying and conveying complex information in technical documents. A variety of options are available, including schematics, charts, assembly illustrations, and flowcharts. However, there are a few tips you should follow to make sure our illustrations are as effective as possible. Audience. It is crucial to know your intended audience when selecting illustrations. Blueprints, electrical diagrams, and other schematics are typically only useful to engineers or others working in a technical field. They do not help the average person set up a television or assemble a piece of furniture. You may be able to edit and simplify complicated drawings for a non-technical audience if you cannot create a new, simpler illustration with the necessary information. Charts. Charts, bar charts, or pie charts are an ideal method for helping people understand numbers and how they relate to one another. Make sure you clearly label all portions of the chart and use color to help separate and identify important information. Callouts. Callouts are text labels with a line pointing to a specific portion of an illustration. Callouts are useful for illustrations that show multiple parts, such as assembly diagrams. The text label can be several sentences. However, simple letters or numbers use less space on the illustration. Refer to the appropriate letter or number in our document to help clarify the instructions. Illustration size. Use illustrations that clearly focus on subject matter. Do not include illustrations that provide irrelevant information. Use an image editing program to crop out any unnecessary information if the desired illustration does not already exist. Flowcharts. Flowcharts can help simplify complex procedures and show how each step relates to another. The result is an easy-to-understand visual procedure. Microsoft's Visio program helps users create flowcharts and other similar business diagrams. Photographs are just as valuable. However, when taking photographs, make sure the lighting is adequate for a clear photo. Also, save the photo as a high-quality, high-resolution image. Label the illustrations. Assign each illustration a figure number and a title. This allows you to easily refer to them in your text and include them in the table of contents or index. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. A report gives an explanation of any circumstance. In today's corporate world, reports play a crucial role. Report is a self-explanatory statement of facts relating to a specific subject and serves the purpose of providing information for decision-making and follow-up actions. Business reports present information-based views of the enterprise to appropriate audiences and can be automatically individualized for each user. Report writing is the result of your researches, analyses, and investigations which you present in a written form. Visual aids can powerfully help the effectiveness of a speech. Many speeches benefit from having objects, images, key quotes, or data presented in a clear and dramatic fashion.